Hey, it's Nubatama coming in with two deck profiles, one video, and they're Shiranui Premium, and Shiranui Premium. So I'm gonna go pretty quick. These are just updates, and so you can go back and look at my old videos. But we'll first off start off with my budget Shiranui deck, meaning just budget cards. So V starter, Shiranui Premium, so it's gonna be with the token. So I'm running 3 of Oboro because you want to be able to get Oboro. You also want to be able to use Gingan to go get another Oboro if you want. I typically run 2 Oboro, but I'm running 3 because I want to be able to utilize this card, which I'm also running at 3. So the other grade 3s are Stealth Dragon, best, in my opinion, one of the best grade 3s we've got in a long time. I love this card. And I'm also not going to go through the really the abilities. This is just an update, especially for you guys that follow me. But again, you can look at the cards. This is Shiranui Oboro from Vieira. This is Stealth Dragon Shiranui from Vieira. And then I'm running Mizukaze as my finisher. Mizukaze, I will explain this card. On placement, you have to Soul Blast a grade 3, which is why Shiranui is so good. You get a lot of grade 3s in Soul. And this basically makes a guard restrict where if your opponent has guarded with a certain grade this turn, or has even just called, which is very important in Premium, because you can force your opponent to call cards. We'll get to that. They can no longer guard with it for the rest of the turn. So it works really, really well. This deck can get off 4 attacks, so this can be actually very pressuring. It is a finisher. Do not run this at less than 2. Yamashibuki is one of our tokenators. Pops cards back to hand, makes tokens. It's really, really good. It's Counterblast. Gale is our Soul Blast, Counterblast, draw a card. If it's on the rear guard, it can go back into Soul at the end of battle and pop a card back to hand. Also Counterblast. Gangon. Counterblast. So the way Gangon works is when you attack with your Mask of Domination token, where you're able to actually bind one of your opponent's cards and then basically copy it, doppelganger it, and put it behind your Vanguard and then attack with it. And if you have two Shiranuis in Soul, it's able to drive check, which is really cool. But when you attack with that token, you're able to counterblast this, get a Shiranui that, that's on your Vanguard, not in the Soul, but on your Vanguard. Go get one from your deck. That's why I run 3 of this, and shove it into your Soul. This gets plus 15 until the end of I think it's the end of the battle, right? End of turn, gosh. It's until end of turn. So it becomes a 24k beater. Pretty good. This is typically a 24k beater on the rear guard. This is a 16k, so you're gonna have to boost this, but pretty strong push. We're running Togi Itachi is our on-place Vanguard rear guard. Look at the top 7 cards for Shiranui. Show it to your opponent, shuffle your deck, put Shiranui in your hand. If you're on the same grade as your opponent, you can Soul Blast. If you're not, you have to Counterblast to use it. Very good, makes the deck more consistent. You want to run that. Target Sunnis are on Vanguard rear guard place. Look at the top 5 cards, find a grade 3 if you would like, including our heal triggers, and you show it to your opponent and then shuffle your deck, discard a card from hand. This gets plus 5 if there's a token, whether or not it's this token or one of your decode tokens. We're running a full set of Sakura Fubuki. As you guys know, I typically like to run this at 2 or 3, but I'm running this a full set because every single one of our grade 2s is, in fact, Counterblast. So it helps you cycle for cards too. It's pretty good. This is a pretty pressuring deck, so it wants to try to win fast. So I'm running 12 crit with 4 of them being the crit sentinel. So that's the V-era deck. Hope you guys like it. If you've got different things you're doing, I would argue that it's still one of the strongest decks. Tend to push pretty well against things like prisms. So if that's the case, then yeah, it does okay for me. Next up, Premium. Let me just check my battery because that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this pretty quick. Yep, we're at 4 minutes. Let's see if we can do 2 videos in like, I don't know, 10 minutes. So using Vieira starter, it's really, really good. We'll go through the G guards here in a second. So we're running Oboro, old Oboro. We run old Oboro because when you at the beginning of your turn, if this is on Vanguard, you get to choose one of your opponent's rear guards in their discard and force them to call it. And that works really well with Mizukaze because it counts towards the guard restriction on Mizukaze. So I run this at 2. I really want to try to get this. It's actually really good. And on stride, you're gonna get an extra attack. You're gonna be able to dominate one of your opponent's units, give it plus 4, dominate it, and attack with it. So it helps extend games. This is really, really good. We're running the new Stealth Dragon Shiranui because it specifically says go get an Oboro. It can be either the old Oboro or the OG Oboro or the new one. In this case, we're running the new one. or the I should say the OG one, because of the abilities it has and how it works with Mizukaze. I already explained Mizukaze. You guys know how it is. Yamashibuki is going to be really good with Jakumesa because we want tokens. And honestly, when this pops to hand, it's like giving you more cards to guard with. So I don't have Gale in this deck because instead I'm running old Furai. Furai, you Soul Blast one, force your opponent. You force your opponents to call a card to an open rearguard circle. Or any rearguard circle. So this is actually a bit superior. You're going to be able to search for this. I've explained it in another video. But I think running this at least at 3 helps just give you extra pieces to help pressure this earlier. We're running Ungai. I'm running Ungai at 3 now. Instead of 2, just it's really pressuring. If your opponent during your main phase, for example, or a Jakumesa play where you're going to bounce cards to hand and call cards back, this allows you to negate an over trigger. Enough said. Grade 1s, we've got Kuragiri's on place. Soul Blast 2. Pop this back to hand and make some tokens. So without doing counterblast. So Tokenator, you're going to want that for Jakumesa. I'm running this at 3. I'm running Katara Gitsuni, the V-Era one at 3, and I'm running 3 here. I'm running Katara Gitsuni, the old one, at 1, which makes up for the Toitachi being at 3 here. The way this works is when you call the OG Stride Fodders, you're able to look, you show one of your grade 3s to your opponent, and then you just go get what, in this case, it's Shiranui out of your deck. So it hand fixes. It's really, really cool. And then you discard any card from hand. I am running 2 cards that may be a little controversial, but they actually help really well. One of the things Nubatama can have a problem with is setting up and getting crushed early. And so I have Rollock at 3 for the early game. I have Bakun at 2 for the late game. Consider these extra perfect guards. So the way this works is if you're not on grade 3, if you have not ridden grade 3 this game, you can actually put this in the Guardian Circle and it negates an attack. It's a perfect guard, a 1-card perfect guard. The way Bakun works is if your opponent's Vanguard is attacking again, so it's attacked once, but now maybe it's restanding, maybe it's Crystal Luster, something like that, Revenger, something that's just restanding Momo. This actually will shut off that next attack, Draconic Overlord. So if your opponent's attacked once with their Vanguard, they restand, they're attacking again. This is again a 1-card perfect guard, which is really good. So 2 for late game, right? Just probability numbers. 3 for early game. You can switch this up how you want. Maybe you want to just run 4 Rollock. Maybe you want to run more Bakun. I had 3 Bakun before. The video I have up there before from a while back doesn't even show Rollock, but I did eventually put this in, and it works pretty well. So that's what we have there. You notice there's no Sakura Fubuki. There's no Sakura Fubuki because we have Torasada. Torasada goes into Soul, effectively giving you a Soul charge and you counter charge. So I'm running that at 3. I'm running 4 Heal Guardians in both decks because we can. Really good pressure in terms of defense early, and if you're being damage denied, you can use this. I've got 4 of the Crit Stride. I do have 1 Crit Sentinel, but in this case I am in fact running draw triggers. I don't have a Gale in here, so I decided to keep that in there. And of course, we're running Drag Vita. So that's the main deck. Put that away. Okay. So I hope you guys are having a great week. My week's been pretty good so far. So there's that. Put that over there. You know how it is. You gotta have your tokens, all the tokens. In this case, you're not doing the Mask of Domination, but you are definitely using these. You need your Protect ones, and so on. So this is a Jakumesa deck basically. You want to extend games out. With this, you stride onto this. You get 1 attack. You're gonna attack with your 2 regards. That's so 1, 2, 3, 4. Call 2 more. 5, 6. You're gonna get up to 6 attacks. Pretty good. So another reason why we want to run this. So the way Jakumesa works is when you attack with this, you pop 2 grade 0s, whether or not they're tokens or triggers that you call that are grade 0s, and you flip a card up, face up in your G-zone, and you bounce your field to your hand. And then you draw 2 cards, and you can call up to 2 rear guards. If you do call up to 2, and you are typically going to want to call 2, this gets plus 10 in a critical, which is pretty pressuring. And it's a really good first stride, honestly. If you can win first stride, great, that's awesome. I'm also running King of Utemu's from the Trial Deck 13, Onimaru's Trial Deck. The way it works is when you declare battle phase, you dominate one of your opponent's rear guards and attack with it. And so what's really cool is the +4 on him that you give to a unit that you're going to dominate is until end of turn. So then when you stride with this, you're going to attack with that, and then it has +4 until end of turn. You can then, when you declare your battle phase, use that unit again if you wish. And for example, if they had if they had hit an over trigger, you could use Unguy before that. But at the beginning of your battle phase, you're going to get the extra attack. So you're going to get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get a 5th attack in there. You get to extend. It's pretty good. Why is this in here? Well, say you're at 0 damage. I've had that happen before where I'm at grade 3. I don't have a heal trigger to give myself damage. I don't have Kirigiri to get free tokens. I don't want to like throw all my triggers away. This is a really good backup. And it's really what it is. You won't tend to use it, but you can. Definitely can. Megan Temu is another backup of sorts. So this guy, as an act, once per turn you counterblast 1, flip him up in your G zone, dominate one of your opponent's Vanguard or rear guards, give it +3, and attack anything. And at the end of the battle, it's going to retire that card. So if there's 2 problem units you want to get rid of on the field, you can actually dominate one of them, attack the other one, and hopefully just remove them both from the table. Or if you have a big unit you want to get rid of, you can dominate that one and swing into your opponent's Vanguard, forcing them to have to guard more, and then getting rid of it off the table. So really good first stride. A really good second stride is Renee. Renee, when you're on GB3, you, well, even if you're on GB1, but you typically want to use this on GB3 because it gets the extra +10 and a crit. So let's just assume we're at GB3. You counterblast 1 as during your main phase. You flip one of these, that's why it's in pairs. And you're going to force your opponent to call 2 cards from hand, and you're going to get those +15 critical each and dominate them and attack in sequence you're choosing. So Protect X, so using Protect 1 really kind of hit this. Your opponent can also call a quick ticket and it's gone. So there are ways to get around this, but I recommend running this. Such a powerful card. Again, when you stride onto him, that's 1 attack, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks. So you're extending out 6 attacks, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and I talked about Zonky in other videos. The problem with Zonky is you want to run Mistfrog if you're running Zonky, typically. So we're running this. Makuro is GB2, Soul Blast 1, or was it Soul Blast 2? Soul Blast 2, pitch a card, dominate your opponent's Vanguard, swing at their field with their Vanguard, they cannot guard. And you're going to drive check off your die. I do have Sukamura Cannon here. That's actually relevant in this deck. If you are on a Boro, you're going to get 4 attacks. So the way Sukamura works is on stride, Jamyo Kongo, basically. So you counterblast 2, you have to flip a card face up in your G zone. This has to flip a card face up in the G zone. This does as well. Anything, that's why they're just a singleton. So this card takes your opponent's hand to 4. They pick 4 cards, they bind the rest. At the end of the turn, those cards are going to go back to their hand if they survive. But the idea is you get your opponent's hand to 4, you're getting an extra attack, so you're getting 4 attacks in on a play where your opponent has 4 cards to guard with. It's pretty brutal. And if you happen to have Mizukaze in play, and they're like, oh, you know, you stride onto this, you have to decide what they're going to keep in their hand. Maybe they're going to keep a lot of zeros, maybe they got a grade 1 PG, and then you drop Furai OG, or you drop Mizukaze, and then you drop Mizukaze, both. It's really rough times for your opponent. So, and I've had this win me games. Keep this in here. Yes, we don't have Fuki, but we do have an extra attack, and we have Mizukaze, and also OG Furai, which can help play around, just making it even more difficult for your opponent. Drachma is really good. So if you're at GB3 on Ultimate Stride, which means if you're on Oboro, you have to pitch an Oboro to pay the cost of Ultimate Stride. You're going to counterblast 2. Your opponent chooses 3 cards, and before that, they're going to you blow their board away. All their rear guards retire. Their Vanguard retires, not the heart or not the soul, but their Vanguard itself retires. They choose 3 cards from hand. They pitch 2 of them. They ride 1, and yeah, it's pretty good. Again, you can get your opponent in a situation where Mizukaze may be able to help close that out with Furai. For our G guards, I'm just running 4. You notice I'm not running Zashikime. Zashikime is really good with like the Hausen and Jamyo Kongo. But Dismal has resist. Dismal gives one of your rear guards resist until end of turn when you guard with it, which is really cool. If you need to protect something, even like an Unguy you plan on bouncing, whatever. Garokans are dominate. G guards, so counterblast 1, soul blast 1. When this goes to the Guardian Circle, you pick one of your opponent's grade 1s, in the back row and call it to the Guardian Circle, and at the end of turn it'll be retired. This is by far in English our best Guardian. So this is Gounder Kurkon. If your opponent has 3 or more cards in hand, this gets +5 shield. If they have 6 or more cards in hand, it gets an extra +10. So it can be 30k guard. So 30k guard is pretty strong in this game. So yeah. So that's the premium deck for Shiranui. Again, these are both Shiranui decks. It's a Shiranui video. Other things you could do in premium, you could go up to 4 PG draws if you want to. Again, Bakun, the ratio with Rollock, you could play around with that. If you want to maybe do a split on Katara Kitsunis, you could do that. Here's the other one. So if you want to, you play around with those ratios. Sakura Fubuki, if for some reason you wanted to put in maybe 1 or 2, you definitely have that as an option. There's some play in there. You're probably not going to want to go up to 4 of that, but definitely have a few of them in there. I do have Ungai at 3. I have OG Furai at 3. Maybe you want Ungai at 2, Furai at 4. It's really up to you. Those are the cards I'd consider just in terms of tweaks with ratios, with Sakura Fubuki being the one card you could add in, maybe at a pair if you want to, if you can find room that's feasible for you. For the G-Zone, again, Sachikime, you could run this. The way it works is you have to have a card face up in your G-Zone. You have to flip one of your Guardians when you call her. She's going to get plus 20k. If your opponent decides to pitch a card, which they can, that 20k goes away. Works really well when you've got hand limiter cards that you're running like Daihausen, or before when we had Jammu Congo. You could go up on this guy. It's just so amazing. If you feel like you don't want to run something like Kinga Gutembu, you could actually put it in a third one of this. You do have Gilgal. Gilgal, you have to pitch whatever grade 3 you're on in order to call this, or I shouldn't say call, in order to stride this. It does attack your opponent's board. I don't like having to pitch like, say, Stealth Dragon Shiranui or a Boro, just because what if I want Ultimate Stride? Or, you know, it's just, I'm not too much of a fan at this moment in time. Sometimes I am. So I'm just kind of, that's the mood I'm in right now. I really don't like this card. I'm just going to say that. I like this one better. So if you want to run Mujin Lord, I'd recommend running this. You have to run it a pair because you have to persona flip this. Jockey Mesa, you probably only need the 2, but you could run a third. Gonrocken, or is this, yeah, Gonrocken. Gonrocken's pretty interesting. Gonrocken's a really free stride. So if you're playing against a board like, yeah, Bermuda, as long as they don't have a resist card or a card that gives the whole field resist, Aqua Force, or something just where there's a lot of field, a lot of Excel circles. What this does is it causes your opponent to choose 2 cards in play. They bounce the rest into their bind zone. If they bound 3 or more cards, they have to pitch 2 from the bind zone. It's interesting. It's better with Daihausen, honestly, but it's something you could think about. So, yeah. So those are the 2 decks. Just wanted to give you my updates on Shiranui. It's really honestly where I'm focused right now. This last Sunday I did play, what did I play? I played Hanzo Jamyo build for V Premium. It was okay. I've gone back to Shiranui. I do have pieces coming in the mail for Storm. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I may play it in Premium. I'm not so sure about, or I should say I may play it in V Premium. Premium, maybe. I'll probably play around with it a bit. It does have interesting plays with Jockey Mesa. However, I really like No Fight, No Guard Shiranui. So with that said, I hope you guys are doing great. Hope you have a good week. And until next time, peace out.